What's going on, Colts Nation? I appreciate you joining me for another video where today I want to talk a little bit about some draft day trades that might be in the works right now. We've talked plenty about the possibility of going and getting Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jim Irsay came out and said that that's definitely a possibility that he would like to be able to go do that. Now, the part of that a lot of people aren't talking about is the fact that Jim Irsay also said that's not very likely because it would cost so much to go up and be able to get Marvin Harrison Jr. So the dream is still alive. Jim Irsay wants to do it. It's his team at the end of the day. If he wants Chris Ballard to find a way, he's going to make Chris Ballard find a way. But in my opinion, it's just not going to happen. So as much as we would like to have Marvin Harrison Jr., unfortunately, he's probably going to end up being an Arizona Cardinal and being over there for a while in his NFL career. But something that I do think is interesting was when Daniel Jeremiah came on Twitter yesterday and he said that he was going through draft day trades of what might happen with Brandon Aiyuk, and the only teams that he can keep coming back to that would make sense for a trade would be the Colts and the Jaguars. And I just thought that was interesting because he knows a lot. His sources last year that he was pretty accurate with the first round. So everything that he hears, like it means something, especially at this time of year. So I think if it makes sense for him for the Colts to do it, then there's a reason he's saying that now. Could be because they have a lot of cap space and they need a wide receiver. And the first thing you have to ask in this situation is what are you going to have to give up for a guy like Brandon Aiyuk? You're going to have to give up a decent amount of draft capital, in my opinion. So for Brandon Aiyuk, might be too rich for me, honestly. The draft capital you're going to have to give up, but there's also a good chance, like, give up less draft capital, really, since you're going to be the team that's going to be extending Brandon Aiyuk, right? The team that trades for him is the team that's giving him a contract. Traditionally, that's the case when the team that's going to give up the most money here is going to be the one they're going to give up less draft capital in a trade. That's traditionally how it goes. So, with Brandon Aiyuk, you're probably still not giving up the first round pick this year. But in my opinion, it's like, is he worth what you're going to pay him? Right. I think, again, in terms of draft capital, it could probably work out. In terms of what he's going to be making a year, right? You just saw yesterday that Amon-Ra St. Brown got paid and is now the highest paid receiver in the league at over 30 million a year. So what would Brandon Aiyuk, what's his contract going to look like? Whether it's the Niners or somebody else, what's that contract going to look like? And it's going to be a lot. Like the Colts right now have $28.194 million. Some of that's supposed to be for the rookies. So when you think about it, like, we can't even afford Brandon Aiyuk. And then on the other hand, you have Michael Pittman Jr., and you're already paying him 20 some $1 million a year. Do you want to go and get a guy like Brandon Aiyuk and bring him in for that much money? And I think, like, I'm not saying, I think having two star wide receivers would take up a lot of the cap, but it would also, it'd be good, right? Having two guys when Anthony Richardson is on his rookie contract. I think this is the time to make that happen, would be right now. But I think with what's out there, what the other options are going into the season, right? Other potential trades, other free agent moves. You have the draft obviously today. So there are other options that I think would just be better than Brandon Aiyuk. Not to say anything bad about it. I think Brandon Aiyuk is a fantastic player. I think he's one of the better receivers in the NFL when he's able to stay on the field. That's really been his only issue through his career is missing time and missing games. But Brandon Aiyuk, very good and somebody that I expect to continue having really good seasons. Last two seasons have been 1,000-yard years, even though the most catches he's had was in 2022 when he had 78, but still had 75 catches this past year, 1,342 yards. His yards per catch are always high, which is what I like. Yards per reception was 17.9 this past year. The lowest of his career is 12.5, which was his rookie year. So Brandon Aiyuk, a very good player. Would it be nice to have him on the team? Yes, it would. Is it worth going to get him? Whether it's draft capital, what you're giving up to pay him, the combination of the two, I just don't like it. And maybe I'm wrong for that, right? Brandon Aiyuk, again, Brandon Aiyuk is very good. So maybe maybe I'm wrong for not wanting Brandon Aiyuk, and thinking that going and doing something different is a better option. But I'd like to know what your opinion is of this down in the comment section. There's other potential trades that could happen today, some stuff that, was popping off yesterday. And I want to talk about the possibility of some other stuff. We're gonna have another video very shortly, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications on so you get notified when that video drops or any other videos. Of course, during the draft tonight, as soon as the Colts make their pick, gonna be talking about that. I'd like to have your guys' opinion on all this stuff. So again, make sure you have notifications on so you get notified when any of these videos come out. I appreciate you coming by for another video. As always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.